Hey guys, welcome to the next episode of the Rodeo Talk. I am here with my host, Max Rooney, and my name is Mikkel Winslow. The reason why we're here is because everyone has a rodeo, and it's our mission to help you guys find it, chase it, and actually win it. Before we dive into today's topic, which is actually going to be Warmode. Why is Warmode the most important thing you can do right now here in 2025 and how to actually implement it in your life? Before we dive into that, I want to ask you, Max Rooney, how has your week been?
Well, brother, it's great to see you again, of course. Here we are, episode 2. I've had a great week. The people who watched last episode would probably notice by now I'm on a different setup. I'm traveling at the moment, but that's not going to stop me from this amazing Rodeo Talk project that we've started. I'm on my rodeo, guys, so I'm kind of moving from place to place a little bit sometimes, depending on the projects and the countries I'm in. But we're here. The week has been awesome, man. It's been filled with a lot of inspirational conversations, some good networking, some solid work. So yeah, man, overall it's been really, really good. I'm so hyped for this episode today because Warmode's something we both have been in together and separately, and we also talked about it a lot separately. So I'm looking forward to bring it together in this episode, man. How's your week been, anyway?
Oh, that's good to hear, brother. Well, my week has been freaking amazing. A lot of execution, which means that we have taken massive action, a lot of planning, a lot of very exciting meetings that I can't really tell that much about yet. You guys will definitely get to know exactly what I have been created and also what I've been working on lately. But yeah, overall, brother, it's been a week where everything has been so good, very good focus. The energy has been high. Yeah, everything has just been exactly how I planned it. So I guess it's been a perfect week, actually, in my end, which I think it's not always like that. It's not always the perfect week. It's not always that we get to execute and complete all these goals that we have. But yeah, I think I've come into the next week very strong, very great motivation, discipline. So yeah, brother, everything is good here.
That's great to hear, man. I hope it's not too cold back in Denmark either. It's summer here. I've gotten a little bit sunburned as well. I think that's not an issue that you're having at the moment.
Yeah, actually, it's very cold here in Denmark. Snowing and yeah, just I haven't seen the sun since I left Dubai a few
You'll
months
be back
ago.
soon, though.
So
Family and these
yeah,
things. It's important. We're not from Dubai, any of us. They're from Denmark. I'm from Denmark and New
yeah.
Zealand. So we are very much on the go. We're traveling a lot. We're on our rodeo. So it's just things that you have to embrace and learn to grapple with when you work as we do, right? So now overall we're really good. Great week. But yeah, so hyped for today. How could we pitch Warmode to the people listening right now in the best way possible, do you think, before we get into it?
Ooh, that's a very good question. I would say if you are a person who wants to level up, literally change your reality because you're tired of who you have been and you don't want to be the same person for your entire life, war mode is exactly what you need to go through. And when we say war mode, it's not like you need to take out your gun and go crazy. It's not that. It's war with yourself. A war where you're battling your demons and where you have been coming from, and also finding out exactly where do I need to go, and then just go there. It's massive action. That is basically what war mode
Massive
is. So
action.
if
Yes.
you're a person, you really want to become the best version of yourself, literally a walking billboard of human excellence. And you've seen all these movies, Superman, Batman, all these superstars. If you think, okay, I want to be the same, I have the same aura, I want to have accomplished the same things, you need to go through a massive war mode. It's, yeah, unquestionable. You need to
Yes.
do it. It's yeah, what is called non-negotiable for you
Completely.
if you want to level up.
Completely, man. I think that's a great way to introduce it, because it is really about embracing the suck. It's about learning how to work from the trenches. And although we are going to structure it in a way where you can spend 2, 3, 4, even more, but around that amount weeks on going into a specific structured period, it's just going to help you to be able to actually work from a different level on a more general basis as well. You're going to go into a period where you're going to really work from the trenches, and you're going to push that ceiling upwards. Because although we're not right now, any of us, in a designated war mode period, we've been in war mode ever since we left war mode. Just the way we operate, the way we go through taking massive action, the way we look at the 4 degrees of action, right? And how we consistently take those periods and apply them to our current situation. It's less intense because I'm traveling at the moment, you're in Denmark, but when we lock in for some periods, for some seasons of our calendar year in our businesses and our projects, we will have those periods where we take 1 month to get as much done as most people would get done in 6 months or a year. And that's what Warmode is about. It's about 10xing those actions. It's actually going to move you very, very much towards that situation you're desiring at a pace you didn't know was possible, at a pace you haven't ever done before, right? You're really pushing those boundaries, right? Like we did when we were in Warmode together. What was our experience, man? Let's you in Warmode.
Brother, you said something very, very important, because when we say that you need to go through this period and war mode is a way of life, I think we've lost maybe all or 2 viewers right there. But it's very important for me to say that war mode is not about doing it forever. It's all about seasons. And now it's been Christmas for us as well. So of course we have family time. We need to double down on other things besides business and personal development. But it's also very important to go back to war mode. And that's where we are right now, Max. It's not Christmas anymore. It's end of January. We've been almost a month inside 2025. So it's all about taking action now.
Yep.
Because I don't know exactly what study it was. I think it was for some university in the US. It showed that almost like, was it 30%, 40% of all people have given up on their dreams by now. It's end of January. You have already given up.
Yeah.
And a month later, I think it was more than 70. Don't take me up on this. You can find the study yourself. But a lot of people, a high percentage of the entire population have given up their entire goals. In like a month from now. So it's very important for me to say that this is for a season. You need to do this for at least 6 months.
Yeah.
Completely change your habits and level up. It's not going to be nice and fun and games always, but the most important thing is that you actually change. And psychologically, Max, you also know that human beings, we hate changing. That is why people don't like to be sold to. We don't like change. We like staying the same because it's comfortable, it's certain, we know exactly what's going to happen. So that's also the reason why most of you guys are not going into this season of war mode, because you're afraid, not possibly afraid, but more like you don't like the discomfort and changing and what's going to happen, where am I going? That season is so crucial. But yeah, Max, what's your viewpoint on war mode and why people actually avoid it?
Yeah, it's a great question why people actually would avoid it, because I think people in life, a quote that I always go back to from Grant Cardone is that we don't believe that people are lazy and unmotivated in life. I just think that they simply don't have the proper direction, and they're having misinformation about how to attack their life or how to attack their rodeo, right? And I think when people become unmotivated and they try to retreat from going into a season of work, it's because they're misinformed, they're looking at it wrong. Some people that I know will measure their performance in output and not input, whereas in war mode it's about measuring your performance in input. What can you control? What can you put into this process that's going to allow you to hit those marks without it having to be something external that you can't control, becoming quite stoic. And some people that avoid it, in my opinion, they're so set in their ways, and they're so set to this average way of going about their work and achieving success, that they're simply just avoiding it, and they don't see it necessary. But as we've talked about last episode, we think success is very important. It's important for your meaning as a person, for your family, for your community, and it's your responsibility to be successful. And we hear quotes like, success is about the journey and about these things, and there's some truth to it, but a lot of it's also just a bit of bullshit, to be honest, because you've got to grab success every single day and take action every single day, like your life depends on it, because it's consistently going to be moving. If you're not holding it and grabbing onto it, you're going to lose it very quickly if you step back. So, Warmode's a way for people to kick into that gear that they didn't know they had, that they then can use and apply to their life moving forward. Because that's really how it is in life. If you don't strive for it, if it's not a do or die mentality, you simply are just falling behind. And that's what we're about here. It's about becoming above average at the Rodeo Talk, finding out your rodeo, grappling with your rodeo, and then succeeding in your rodeo. So yeah, avoiding it is simply just it's a mindset shift. You need to go through the way you look at your life and the way you define success, in my opinion.
But it's also, I think. Well, when we say success, I think it's very important for us to say that success is not just about money. It's not just about your job, your career. Success comes from your purpose. Like, no question. Your purpose, once you are chasing it, and actually the rodeo, once you chase it and you focus on it and you find meaning from chasing that rodeo, that is where success comes from. So if you guys are watching here, don't chase the materialistic things, because it's not going to make you happy. It's really not going to make you happy. But chase your purpose. What is your purpose? Why do you do as you do? Everything you do, there must be some kind of strong purpose behind it. Otherwise, you're not going to be consistent with it. It's this exact same thing with fitness and my example. I don't train because of the muscles. I did that in the beginning, that got me started, but now it's just about being healthy and actually leveling up, and the discipline and the consistency, because a six-pack and a healthy body says so much more than anything else, because you cannot buy it. You can buy a coach who can help you get in shape, but ultimately, you're the one who's doing the work. And I think Warmode is about doing the work. It's not about watching something on social media and wishing for your situation to change. It's about putting in the work, as you said.
It's action. It's action.
It's about input. It's all about
massive action.
That's all what it is. And Max, why do you think everyone should have a Warmode in 2025, and also compared to like the world situation right now we're in?
Well, comparing to the world situation is a different question, because there's a lot of things there that should potentially encourage you very heavily and motivate you to actually get your rodeo sorted if you're not actually on it at the moment, and getting those success and those wins. But I would simply ask people, how close do you feel to your full potential? Right? And if you're not very confident in that, you're constantly striving towards taking action every day, like your life depends on it, and striving for greatness, then I believe you need to go into a Warmode. Because action, as my great co-host Mikkel just said, is going to be the only thing that's going to really push you forward and develop you in 2025 if you haven't been in a sort of Warmode before. People call it a surge, some people call it a monk mode. Warmode for us is about being relentless with your action and the things that actually push you forward towards that goal, that next goal, and being totally accountable and totally accountable towards your own actions, and really taking on responsibility for everything that happens to you, just like you're in the trenches. I mean, there's no space for people who are victims, whiners, or crybabies in Warmode. You simply can't be in the trenches and have a victim mentality. You've got to become the person where you are making things happen. Things aren't happening to you. You take control of your life, you take control of your rodeo, and that's why you need to go into a war mode, because it allows you to shift your paradigm and your mindset towards actually becoming someone who does things, not someone that lets things do something to him, or to her. So that's why I think people should do a war mode. I think it's really clear. I definitely knew when I wasn't at my full potential. I'm constantly pushing that. But success is really your duty. I like what you said about success, because it can be defined in many ways. That's you to define. What do you want your life to look like in 5-10 years? How are you as a person? Who are you spending time with? Define that first. But when you've defined that, you've got to see that as a duty. Success is your duty. It's really your responsibility to get success. No one's going to come in and make you successful. No one's going to bang on the door and say, here's your opportunity. But you got to see it as something that is critical for your future survival of your generation and yourself, because that's the way that humans operate. I mean, one funny thing, bro, if you look at a 10-year-old, right, they're taking massive action. Like, I've never met a 10-year-old that wasn't doing 10 things at once. They're running around. I know you worked in a kindergarten, bro, with your story. It's one thing that I thought about. Kids do a shit ton of action, right? Because it's in our nature to take massive action. If you think about a beehive or, I don't know, the ocean, there's so much action happening there. It's just massive action. I think it's in our nature, right? But kids then, you need to slow down and don't work so much. And when I do work in Sundays and on the weekend, people saying, oh, why are you doing that? I feel like I have a responsibility to be successful.
What do you think has changed? Because I've been working in a kindergarten and kids were flying all over the place, and they're just, oh, I need to do this. 1 second after they need to go that way.
Bang, bang, bang.
But when we're getting raised in our childhood, we're getting older. What do you think is changing?
When it comes to action, I think I have a very simple view on it, and I think it's something that I also read in the 10x Rule, a great book for people looking to really level up and 10x everything they're doing. But I think it's become a lot more acceptable to take normal levels of action. It's become a lot more acceptable to just have average levels of action, and people really. Then like external stuff happens, like someone tries to take your business, or I don't know, we go through a financial crisis, or the world goes into a pandemic or something. And because you didn't take a massive amount of action, you are now letting those external factors control your life. Whereas if you continue to take massive amounts of action, you can control it no matter what. So to answer your question, I actually don't have the full answer onto why, but I know that the world has become a lot more, especially the countries that we grew up in, a lot more accepting of average amounts of input and just becoming more soft, and everyone gets a medal for completing. No one is really a winner and a loser. And although success is, there's an abundant amount of success, I don't believe in the fact, bro, and I know that you don't do either, that if someone wins, then someone loses. No, like the best business owners that we've ever spoken with, they look at success as something being abundant. Just because you got that client and I didn't get that client, for example, that's not going to mean that there's not other clients out there. It's not that I'm saying, but we are living in a world right now which is a lot more soft, especially in the countries we grew up in, I think.
It is, but I think also the reason why I think we've been more soft, and also you talked about the 10-year-olds, the kindergarten, when basically kids, when they're young, they just follow their instincts exactly as animals do. They don't know any better. I think the reason why kids are changing, so when we become adults, we're laid back, we're holding something back. Oh, I cannot do that. I cannot do this. What are they going to say about me doing something?
Excuses.
I think one word that sums this up, and it's not someone, I'm not giving fault to anyone. I just think this is just my opinion. You can have yours, and if you don't agree with it, that's completely fine.
I'll tell you.
Fear is exactly what has been printed in the child's mind. Oh, this is impossible. Be careful that you step on this thing because you're going to fall down. When I was working in the kindergarten, it was very important that kids tried things, and sometimes they got hurt, and that was actually a good thing. And you may call me crazy, but it's actually a good thing because they learn. Okay, maybe it's good that I don't jump on my head in that sand pit. Maybe I need to jump and land on my feet and not my face.
But it's a feedback loop, right?
It
and
is.
you're holding kids back from entering that feedback loop. And then actually, as you're saying, I think you're very correct. When they then grow up to become adults, they become more reluctant to take massive action because all these things, oh, don't touch that, don't do that, and blah blah blah, and they retreat from that action because they've been indoctrinated to actually grow up with a mentality of what if and always the worst case scenario, loss
And I
aversion,
think,
which is also very human.
yeah, bro, what we are possibly going to do when we get kids someday is to encourage them to try things, not just say, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, because then we're basically printing fear in their head that whatever they do, something bad is going to happen. But if we actually encourage them to take action, say, yeah, try that, see how it goes. Fix the car if they're 16 years old, 20 years old. Leave them alone with the car. Let them try to fix it. Don't
Yeah.
don't just say, oh, don't do that, don't do that, because then they end up doing nothing. And when they actually want to accomplish something in their life, they're not taking action because they're afraid of taking that step. And I think that's also what we see right now in the world. We are afraid of taking action. Oh, what is going to happen? And fear is used to control us. That's a whole other conversation. But basically, fear, I think, is the reason why people are not taking the massive action, which is exactly what war mode is.
Yeah, and
We can
there's
talk
many
back and
different
forth on
things.
this one,
There's many
but we
different
need
reasons
to.
for that, right? Yeah, for sure. There's many different reasons for that. I think fear is one. People also having a victim mentality, saying like, "Oh, I can't do it because A, B, C, D. Like it's raining, or I always like people say, I always get burned off in business and things like that. Like people don't understand that you are a part of the problem, or else it wouldn't be happening to you. Do you know what I'm saying? So you might have been taking some actions, even subconsciously, that's led you into a situation of that thing happening to you, so you could justify your victim mentality. It's a deep conversation, but I think there's many actions, many reasons, I think, to why people act the way they do today. I think raising how we raise children, I think, is very important. Back in the day, children would just try things. You'd be in a village and the parents would hunt or some things like that. Now they're so protected, and it's very much don't do that, don't do that. So yeah,
And
but let's
also,
loop this back to Warmode somehow, bro, because I think we got to give people some sort of insight into how they can apply this today. But that's even one of the applications, is not to have this sort of mentality, right?
I think it's
Activate
a
your
very
feedback
important
loop.
topic, bro. Bro, it is a very important topic that we bring up. And it's also the system. When we're in school, we're constantly told to shut up and don't do anything. There's only one answer. But in life, in reality, there's so many answers. If you want to grow a business, bro, if you want to get clients, there's not just one answer to get clients. There's so many answers to that specific output. And I think it's very dangerous that we constantly tell children that they need to sit still, shut up, don't do anything. No, question what you're doing. Why do you need to do that? How can this improve my life? Question all these things.
Be
But it
curious,
makes
right?
us being raised without questioning our reality. And when we don't question our reality, we don't get the chance to actually see, okay, what is actually going on here? So it's very important. And I think the first step to change is actually acknowledging the situation and the problem that you're facing, taking it in, okay, this is actually my reality. And once you have acknowledged, identified the challenges, the problems, this is why you have the chance to say, okay, I don't like this. You're breaking out of this subconscious, where you're not seeing the reality. You're breaking out of that cycle, which means that now you have the chance to actually identify and know what you want. And this is where you can use war mode, because when you know exactly what you want, your true purpose, you need to go to war mode to facilitate that and actually go through that period so you can live the reality you want to.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think just to round up a little bit about how you actually get into the war mode mentality, one thing I think we need to talk about that's really been a driving factor for me and for you, bro, is about taking control of everything in your life. And I think the best thing to really encapsulate this is just saying that don't be a bitch. And that's a very, very extreme way of saying it, and it might offend some people, but we're here on our Rodeo Talk, so people will either agree or not. But it's very true, it's entering this mentality of taking control of everything that happens to you. If you lose a client, if someone hits your car in the parking lot, if you, if even if it rains, we would go to each other. Yeah.
If you have a fight with your better half, take responsibility and say, okay, what could I have done differently? Were they actually right?
Yeah, because when you pass over the reason for why something is happening away from what you can control, you now forfeit the ability to actually improve yourself and control it in the future. So even if it's raining outside, something you really shouldn't be able to control, you could have brought an umbrella. Even if someone hits my car in the parking lot, I could have left earlier. I could have been an agency owner that made enough so all my groceries would come to my front door, and I wouldn't even have to go into the parking lot. There's all these things where you can deeply analyze and get into serious real life situations of just being accountable for everything that happens to you. Because when you become accountable for everything that happens to you, suddenly you have the control of everything in your life. You can't be a victim. You can't be someone that whines or a crybaby. If you go into Warmode, everything that happens to you is your fault. If someone calls you is unhappy for some reason, you can't just say that's them. What can I have done differently to improve this situation? That's something you need to take into Warmode, is absolute self-accountability.
Yes, and always try to see things from a different perspective. Let's say you're arguing with somebody. Yes, you don't need to agree with the person, but try to actually understand the viewpoint. No, because I've read a book, it's called Psychology of Money, and it says, no one is crazy. And nobody, there are some people that are actually crazy, that are murderers, all these people, but 99% of the entire population, they're not crazy. They're just raised up at a different time, different location, different environment. They have other rules. They are focusing on other things, which has shaped their actions and how they think and how they speak and how they live their life. And you have done differently. But they're not crazy. You're not crazy. You're just different. So try to understand each other's perspective, and because if you just say, oh, they're just crazy, you have already given up on the opportunity to understand another person's viewpoint. You're just throwing in the towel and say, oh, that's just crazy. You can't argue with that.
No.
And then it's just end of discussion. So always try to take accountability and learn from somebody, because you can learn anything from anyone. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing, like most life-changing, but you can learn a few things from that person. Oh, that person thinks this. All right, they must be having a great time doing that. But it just made me realize that I love what I do even more. I don't have to do this because I love what I do now.
It's so true. It's a really important point. I always go back to the quote that in anyone's company, I am inferior in some way, right? And if you adapt the mindset of being able to learn something from everyone on planet Earth, even if they're, and this sounds, crazy, but even if there's someone that's homeless on the street and they're doing some, you can still learn something from that person. You really can. But as you're saying, when you say, oh, they're crazy, I don't want to listen to them, you're not going to develop. You're not going to learn anything fun from anyone, because you're limiting yourself so much. So understand people, be very curious about people, be set in your own ways. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have morals or values. That's very important. No. But be willing to understand the counterpart. Be willing to understand that in any situation in life, you are somehow inferior, and you can learn from that, because then you will continuously develop.
One last thing, bro, because we gave a teaser for last episode, how to make Warmode more fun. So I think Warmode should be fun, but in a way that you're actually accomplishing things. Of course, it's discomfort. You have to take massive action, do something that you don't like, actually something that you hate. But in the end, it is fun. We had a blast going over Warmode when we were living together. It was not fun when we stood in the ice bath.
No, exactly. It was not fun at all, and people will go, "Are you crazy?" Because
Yeah,
it is not fun. It was not fun. But
it
at
is
the
not.
same time, as I said in the last episode, I haven't felt more meaning in my life to some extent than I did when I was in the most extreme situations of working towards my absolute biggest goals in life. I mean,
Yeah. So what is the fun part for you when it comes to war mode?
well, I think I have a bit of a different view on this when it comes to fun because I don't really believe in the notion of fun. I believe in I guess what you might be saying, and you can correct me if I'm misunderstanding it, that you find satisfaction through the meaning and the end goal. Because I don't know, fun in war mode for me is laughing about it, and having those conversations, looking back on it. I think that's very fun. That's like sitting around the campfire and telling war stories.
Yeah.
That's probably the most fun that I have is when we speak about these things. But I don't think you're supposed to strive after fun as someone who wants to be
Absolutely
as
not.
capable as possible. So I'd love to understand what you put into the word fun, because I don't really think there's anything fun about war mode other than being very happy and laughing about how out there and how massive action it actually is compared to the average state of the world today.
I think for me, that's a very, very interesting perspective. I totally agree that you need to, yes, find purpose in what you do and find satisfaction through your actions. I think the most important thing for me, you need to have fun doing the things you do because when you have fun, you're in harmony. You're in flow. Everything flows. When
we,
something is
we
flowing,
did have fun, bro. So sorry to interrupt you. We were laughing like every day. You remember?
yeah,
Like,
absolutely, we
so yeah,
did.
of course I had a laugh. I'm not sitting here someone who's just like a robot. I have emotion.
Absolutely not. And that is my point because when we have spoken about war mode now and also gave the teaser from last episode, people potentially might be in a situation where okay, this is so robotic. It's just I need to do this. It's so cold. But what it actually is that you become more human. You work hard, which humans are supposed to do, and you need to have fun. If you're building a business, have fun doing it because they can feel your heart. And once you follow, and the fun part for me comes that you take certain actions, you become more confident because the actions lead to better results. And then you're having fun doing it because you feel good. You know what's right and what's wrong. Oh, I need to do that, and you can see the value of the things you do.
Mm.
And once you can do that and you find purpose in it, fun just becomes a thing it's just what you do. You're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I think a good way to kill pain is by having fun. Like a good mindset is like the key to great results. You can be in a shitty situation, but if you have a good mindset, you're having a blast together. It just makes the situation so much better.
It's true. It's true. And the more I think of it, the more you have a point. I think fun is not kind of the word I would use though, but you do have a point because when I've done some of my half Ironman events and my marathon and stuff, I'd actually, when it got really, really bad, I'd begin to smile and almost laugh. And it would bring
Yeah.
me so much energy that you wouldn't believe it. I remember every time I push myself so hard, I smile just to show that it's nothing, it's nothing. And that's all down to a mindset shift, really. Because you got to be able to go through a mindset shift before you can see the fun through war mode. And that's maybe the step before. But when you go through that and you realize how important it is and how much it aligns with your values and your morals, then suddenly it is fun and you can smile because you asked to do this, right? You want this, and that's where it
Yeah.
becomes something where you can actually really enjoy it. Because as much as we believe that obviously a lot of the actions you have to take is not going to be enjoyable, it's not going to be fun to sit on your laptop and do X, Y, Z, but you can actually still find meaning and fun through it if you really shift your mindset towards looking at things through that lens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think war mode is a way that people can kickstart that and really go through that mindset shift because it's all mental. Your previous self would probably not even imagine going into war mode, but you gotta win that battle, and the new version of yourself has got to win that battle and really take control. Your 2.0 version, which you're gonna find through war mode. So you got to define your goals. I guess we could round out by kind of giving people that rough blueprint. But really, it's just about 10xing your actions. Define your goals. What is it you want to move forward with? Is it business? Is it personal relations? Is it your job? What is it? And just find out what actions you need to take, and then just 10x them. And then spend all day, every day on these things. We also had like family and social gatherings and things like that while in war mode, but we really, really, really do cut things down to an absolute minimum to put all our attention and focus towards war mode. And I'd say do it with someone. Do it with someone. It's my biggest suggestion. We did it together, and you become accountable. It's a lot more fun. You have someone close to you that's doing it with you. We live together in a war mode kind of trench grind, right? And that's what you do. You don't go into the trenches and fight a war alone. You have your brothers there. And as much as it's traumatic and you have to go through so much pain, they smile at each other. And they, I'm someone that's very passionate about World War history and the trench lifestyle, and read a really good book called All Quiet on the Western Front, which is about the German soldiers in the 1915 and 1916 First World War. And these boys were 18, 19, 20 years old. And they were in the front lines, right? And they only survived that because they were around their brothers and around someone that went into that with them together. And they were able to, despite all the horror, go back to their camps and actually laugh and play cards. So it is very true. It's very true.
It is. And yeah, just one last thing before we end this is that if you're out here and you have listened to all that, first of all, this is the first step, acknowledging that there's something that can be changed. So that is very good. But I think if you want to, there are no cheat codes to this, but if you want to think that there's a cheat code, I want to give a little teaser, because expect greatness to be 10 times harder than you probably think it is. So that means if you have a goal, let's say it is a six-pack, expect it to be 10 times harder than what you think it is. Expect to do 10 times more work than you think it is. It's going to take, and expect it to be 10 times longer than you expected the period to be. Because when you expect something to be very high, but it's actually only here, automatically you have raised your actions and your mindset to this level. And it's not about just achieving your goal. You can't achieve your goal like that. You need to become the person who can achieve the goal. So once you level up your actions and your mindset, then you're automatically on this level, and you will hit your goals no matter what. No matter what.
Yeah, very, very true, man. Becoming the person that is able to fulfill on those goals. Because right now you're not that person. Right now we're not the person that we're envisioning we are in a few years. We have very clear goals and parameters, and we act like we are that person. So tell the people around you that you're going to do this. Maybe do it with someone if you're able to do it, and go into a period where you set yourself very strict parameters for how you're going to act, as if you're in the trenches, right? And really, 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 really work hard. There is really no shortcut. The best shortcut, as you're saying, is to be ready for 10 times the action and think like that and take action like that. And then you can only be positively surprised if you reach your goal with less than 10 times action. But you got to be able to really embrace the suck, embrace how shit it's going to be for a period. And actually through that, when you become accommodated to that, you will start to find meaning through it, and you'll start to find fun through it, like you're saying. But the first period, it's not going to be fun. Your your 1.0 version of yourself wants to go back to the lifestyle that you had. And it's fighting everything it can to go back to those bad habits and not to do the work and to victimize or to cope or to make excuses. Just like when you're building a six-pack, as you're saying, bro, you're fighting the body, aren't you, to kind of become stronger. You're tearing muscles. Like, that's the same. You're tearing your mindset apart to build that new mindset. So just work really hard and focus on the input, not the output, and focus on 10 times the input. when you're focusing on the input. That's what Warmode is really about. So you can check out, we've both spoken about it on some of our channels. They're always linked with this podcast if you want to learn more about it. But really, it's very similar to these other periods of intensified work where you go into a structure. Warmode just really embraces what's the most important part, which is the action and the actually tearing apart your mindset to become a new person. So we'll definitely have some material on it you can check out. Also, shout out to
where can people find us if they want to learn more about you or me, or even watch the last episode?
Yeah, well, the Rodeo Talk on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. The Rodeo Talk. You'll be able to find all the episodes. My Instagram is Max Rooney, yours is Mikkel Winslow. And also our YouTube channel is probably a good place where we talk a little bit more in depth about these things. But yeah, we're definitely going to come back to Warmode many times in the future because it's going to stay with us forever. But I guess this is a really solid introduction into what those mindset and paradigm shifts look like and how they have to occur before you can actually become someone who can do a Warmode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you guys to level up. It's very important. And once you have achieved the goal, set the next goal 10 times higher. So let's say you have an income goal of $10,000 per month. Once you have achieved that, your next goal should be $100,000 per month. Then you have automatically raised the bar and you have something new to aim for. So whatever you do, just 10x what your reality is, because then you're just moving constantly in the right direction. I think that was just the last part of this episode. But yeah, if you want to give us a question or anything, please write it down in the comment section, or reach out to Max Rooney on Instagram or Mikkel Winslow on Instagram, and we can help you get in the right direction. But for now, bro,
it's been a pleasure. I think we can just say that we're continuing to adapt and continuing to really better this talk show, and we're going to be bringing on a lot of interesting people in the next episodes as well, so stay tuned for that. We're going to be introducing some segments as well based on the feedback we've been getting so far, really just debunking some trends or talking about some relevant topics, having specific segments from questions, Q&As, etc. So keep on providing us with your thoughts and feedback and questions, and we'll keep on adapting the show. Stay tuned for the next episode on Sunday, and guests to come as well. Apart from that, this has been your host, Max Rooney, Mikkel Winslow. Pleasure. Go out there and take 100 times more action than you thought you had to, and we look forward to see you winning. All right. See you in the next episode, guys.
Take care, guys.
Take care.